Серьезно? Да, на это же прямо что видит хорошо. Алина сама первая секция, я готова. Ну как он чекает, он запишет.
Думаю, что да.
Вам, да, или а вы докладываете?
Я на всех.
Ему тоже положено. Ну да, наверное. Ну смотри, там штука. Это, да. Это мало уже.
А ты что, караулил?
Ермолай?
Да.
Ага, ваш командировочный лист уже сдали, да?
Ну, наверное,
Да.
не знаю.
Наталья Кабарле, да?
Я обещал.
Командировочный лист. А можно
Ты вообще об этом знаю.
Можно ваше имя?
Вадим Анатольевич.
Да. Да. Скажите, пожалуйста, куда вы будете писать? Не, нам нужно сюда подъезд, я как раз. Там висят. Сейчас я, как у меня здесь за вас уже
Есть
Да, получил.
Ты понял, что я буду на воркшопе? Где можно две крапочки?
Там есть неприятный сюрприз. Мне понравится. Нет. Да. Отпечатать. I will do a presentation. Water is not so good to replace it by competing. Maybe speaker is better. Just speak. Otherwise, people think.
Нет? А, ну попробуй.
Есть
Gerard Bernie.
Okay. Yes, I come from the team that is
I visited Grenoble with Nicola. Yes, and then it will be given to you as a concept. So you use it and this for variable computers. Disposable computers. Like, I want to keep my computer because it contains important information.
Mike.
Алло.
Один. Три штуки.
Это я просто потому что он 16 если желание, могу
Dear colleagues, friends, let me open our the 9th conference, Information Communication Technology in Educational Research and Business Application. I'm glad to see you during our conference, and I want to say that 2 years ago we took decision, it's very important decision, that we use only one official language, it's English. That's why we lose some part of scholars from Ukraine, but we have a lot of new colleagues, professors from different countries. That's why today we won't say thanks a lot for our colleagues which come in Kherson State University for participate in this conference. And I want the special thanks Professor Vadim Yermolayev. Colleagues help us the growth year by year, growth our conference, and grow this conference in the special level which allow us today the public the best article in the Springer. It's very important for us because it's a really very huge results of our conference during the previous 12 years. It's a special sense for help us for supporting all organization moment. Natalia Pushkin, you can see that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our colleagues, which help us organization financial issue, it's Dmitry Shedrolosov, company Data Art, Zaporozhye National University, and a lot of company which help us as sponsor. I want the special sense our invite speakers. In first of all, it's the Dr. Gary Pratt, Vice-President of Eastern Washington University, where I was as a scholarships as the IREX program during 2 months. Gary, thank you very much for help, and thank you that you today share with us this conference. Special thanks Wolf Eckerdahl-Matzke, who come us from Germany, and tomorrow he will be make his special speech for us as invite speakers. Thank you very much, Academic National Academy and the chief of the special department from Institute Kybernetic, Glushkov, Alexander Nikichevsky. So, thank you very much for Grigory Zhalkevich and Nikolai Nikitchenko, who make a lot of efforts for supporting a lot of articles which come to our conference. Thank you very much. It's Professor Frédéric Mallet from France, from the old partner, the Nice Sophia Antipolis University, not only as participate in our conference, he is the son, our colleagues and friends, Georges Mallet. Special thanks Professor Michel Kors, Department of Mathematical Information Technology, University of Jyväskylä, Finland. Thank you very much. It's Professor Vasu Alagar, Department of Computer Science and Software Engineering, Concordia University, Montreal, Canada. Thank you very much. Karin Mesroban, Research Fellow, South Scientific Center of Russian Academy of Science, Assistant at South Federal University. Thank you, Professor Karl Richter, Clausel University of Technology, Germany. Why for us it's very important this conference? Because it's really we have intersection between 3 very important topics. It's educational, research, and business application. Our university has a very good and relevant experience in this field because we built the special cluster system with the labor market. And first of all, with the company where is working our alumni. For us, it's very important. That's why we see that university must give for our students a lot of opportunities, or participate as the future professor or future research or working in IT company, or for example as scholarship participate in some program in the foreign university. That's why our conference is a very important thing for us, for talk about a lot of things. That's why we have accept three topics of our conference. We prepared the IT talk, and thank you very much, Data Art, for help us for hold this event. Thank you for patience for doing my foreword, and now I want give for welcome speech rector of Kherson State University, Professor Alexander.
Будем говорить английский язык здесь, но все-таки попробуем высказать свои мысли на русском, так как английский долго не разговаривал, поэтому есть хорошая возможность его вспомнить. И we will continue in Russian.
Who said that the official language of the conference is English, but he said, I haven't been speaking English for some time, that's why I'm going to speak Russian, and that will be translated.
Я очень благодарен Александру Владимировичу Спиваковскому за то, что он собрал такое хорошее представительство практически со всех регионов Северного полушария.
I'm grateful, sincere to our Vice Rector Alexander Spivakovsky because he was able to gather such wonderful guests and professors from all over the world.
Самое важное, что сегодня будет, это общение между вами, это выработка новых идей в ИКТ-технологиях, это публикация ваших результатов самых весомых наукометрических коллекциях, это Шпрингер.
The most important reason for our meeting today is, of course, the communication between scientists, between all the listeners, and of course, it will be very important that all these materials will be published at a very high level, especially at Springer level.
Я надеюсь, что эти несколько дней пребывания на земле Херсонской, которая прекрасна и ландшафтами, и людьми, и новыми идеями, будет для вас очень полезно и в плане работы, и отдыха, и дальнейших творческих реализаций ваших идей.
I hope all these days which you are able to spend at our Kherson region will be useful and pleasant for you, and they will help you to reach positive results in the future.
Успехов и плодотворной работы!
I wish you good luck and wonderful results of your session.
Thank you very much. And before the next speech, we have, sorry, I have forgotten completely, but we have the very good tradition. Before our conference, from company Logistify, I want commitment. It's a special gift for one of the best former students which finished starting this year. It's Dmitry Berezovsky, and I want commitment this notebook. I ask Vice Governor of Kherson Oblast, Valentin Berezovsky, commitment this notebook for this student. Thank you very much, Valentin Hendrikovich. That's why the next speech to you, I will come.
Добрый день, уважаемые дамы и господа.
Good afternoon, dear gentlemen and ladies.
Позвольте от имени главы областной государственной администрации Николая Михайловича Костяка всех вас поприветствовать с началом конференции и пожелать плодотворных успехов, хороших результатов и хорошего задела на будущее.
Let me, on behalf of the head of Kherson Regional Administration, to welcome all people who are here and to wish you good results in your cooperation and in your work.
Очень сложно переоценить значение этой конференции в развитии области. Мы совсем недавно переосмысливали новые стратегические направления развития региона.
This conference has great importance for our Kherson region, and of course, the last time the priorities of Kherson region were overlooked.
И нам нужно было в этом жестком глобальном конкурентном мире определить конкурентные преимущества Херсонской области, которые могли бы дать хорошие рабочие места, хорошую заработную плату, хорошие доходы в бюджет и обеспечить высокий уровень жизни херсонцев.
And in this difficult situation, we had to find out the reasons and for labor to find the members for labor market and those people to find the reasons who will give the good results for Kherson region.
Традиционными у нас были аграрный сектор, сектор рекреации, логистика. Еще до недавнего времени это было тяжелое машиностроение, но совсем недавно для нас на первое место выходит, пожалуй, самое главное потенциальное конкурентное преимущество области – это наличие высококлассных специалистов в IT-технологиях.
For a long time, the main branches of Kherson region were such as agricultural sphere or logistics, but nowadays we understand that the priority belongs to professionals in IT sphere.
Мы задаем себе вопрос, может ли быть конкурентным сельскохозяйственное производство, если фермер не может оценить свою продукцию на лондонской или варшавской бирже? Говорим, нет, но у него должна быть возможность это сделать.
And nowadays we put the question, can a farmer be a good concurrent at the labor market if he has such possibilities?
Мы задаем себе вопрос, может ли быть конкурентоспособной наша рекреационная зона 200 километров наших прекрасных морей, и говорим нет, если бы об этом не узнает весь мир.
We should pay attention to our recreation zone, and we have to pay great attention because the whole world has to know about it.
Мы задаем себе вопрос, может ли быть конкурентоспособной логистическая система, наши порты, вновь открытый аэропорт, и говорим, что если об этом не узнает мир, не будет конкурентоспособной эта отрасль.
We put the question if our ports can be competitive in the whole world, and the world should know about it.
Чего мы ожидаем от вас? Мы ожидаем прежде всего высококлассных программных продуктов, которые могут обеспечить конкурентоспособность всех тех отраслей, которые я назвал.
And we expect from you the great results of your work to allow all the spheres to be developed at the following level.
Несколько дней назад на Балтийско-Черноморском форуме на одной из секций было принято решение создания IT-кластера, где инициатором выступил ХДУ, и две компании, которые производят программные продукты.
A few days ago at the Baltic Symposium there was accepted the decision to create the special product.
Без пафоса, я вам честно хочу сказать, что для нас это чрезвычайно значащий факт, который состоялся. К нам уже есть желающие подключиться к этому кластеру. Более того, этот IT-кластер становится центром кластерного подхода для развития всех остальных кластеров, о которых я сказал, вернее, тех отраслей, о которых я сказал.
I say absolutely sincere that nowadays we have a great number of people who are ready to join to this IT cluster, and it has a great importance.
Поэтому я очень благодарен нашим иностранным гостям, которые приехали к нам и хотят поделиться своими знаниями, наработками, практиками.
That's why I'm sincerely grateful to all our guests who have visited us to share all their knowledge and their experience.
Безусловно, огромное спасибо организаторам, университету.
I'm grateful to all people who organized this conference.
Но самая большая благодарность и просьба молодым людям, которые сидят в этом зале.
But the biggest requirement is to people who are present at this.
Без преувеличения я могу сказать, что на вас возлагается ответственность за будущее Херсонской области, какой она будет, как она будет развиваться. И хочу надеяться, что она будет самой конкурентоспособной областью не только в Украине, но и среди всех регионов мира. Я желаю вам добра и гармонии. Спасибо.
The great responsibility is put on people who are present here, and only on you depends the future of our Kherson region, and he wishes the best results for your future work and to make our land really great.
Thank you very much for very optimistic speech. And now I invite Professor Vadim Yermolai.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to see some familiar faces here. And that makes me feeling that the conference has maturely passed a sort of landmark. I do see people who have started with us in 2011. I do see people who joined us in 2012. And I see also many new faces here, which are very warmly welcome, because you are participating, you are bringing your results here, and you are the main factor of the success. Now I'm going to report about the success. As you well know, Icteri, can you hear me up there in the back? Icteri is a peer-reviewed academic conference, thank you, which means that we do have an international program committee comprising 49 experts, thanks, from academia and from industry, just because the conference is quite heavily industrially oriented. Those people came to serve us from 15 countries, and you do see here the distribution of the members by countries. It's nice also to mention that they also, PC members also involved additional experts for reviewing the publications submitted to this conference. And those additional reviewers, external reviewers, came from Austria, from Spain, and of course from Ukraine. So, as I already told you, the conference is growing and maturing, and there are some facts which I took from Google Analytics supporting or argumenting this statement. What I did, I compared the data collected by Google Analytics surveys for the same period of time in 2011-2012, from the 15th of November of 2011 to the 31st of May 2012, and the same period in 2012-2013, you may see from those charts that we have 66, 100 and 164% increase in different sorts of hits to the website of the conference. And we also do have a 68% increase in the global coverage judged by the geographical distribution of those hits. As a result, which I elaborate a little bit more on my next slides, we have a 79% increase in submissions. Another good sign, which lets me or allows me to tell about the growing interest to the conference, is the email which I cite directly on this slide, received just before the conference from one of the editorial staff at Elsevier, which, as you well know, is one of the leading scientific publishers in the world. They're asking if we are interested in accepting Elsevier for organizing, publishing, and disseminating the proceedings of our conference. So that means that we are at least noticeable in the world, if not to say more. And this is just because some facts and figures you may see on this slide. Again, I do compare the previous instance of Icteri with the instance we have started today. We have 61 submissions to the main Icteri conference compared to 48, and the increase is 27%. Most prominently, we have almost doubled the number of full or regular paper submissions, which, as you well know, report on the accomplished research activity or project. And most interestingly, the authors of many papers come from different universities and from different countries. So those papers report on the results of international collaboration. We also added some new sports in tutorials. We added something in industrial experience reports. More prominently, we have increased substantially the submissions to our workshops. Special thanks goes to the workshops chair, Professor Nikic, who was unfortunately not able to join us today. So overall, the number of submissions to this conference is 125, which means that we have a 79% increase in submissions to this conference. As for the acceptance, which of course clarifies the quality of the submitted papers and the conference overall, I may say that we have accepted about 39% of submissions, which is not very bad, even if compared to the previous achievement of 45%. We also accepted about 43% of workshop submissions, and you see the distribution per genders, per categories, and the distribution of the coverage of the Icteri scope. If you have any questions, please do that during the coffee break. Come and talk to me, because at the moment I have to rush, I have 5 minutes left. So this is the proceedings, and the good news is, again, that this electronic proceedings published at a resource provided by Aachen University in Germany is already indexed by one of the major bibliographic indexes in computer science, I mean DBLP. They did it right yesterday evening, and I saw it today well on time. It's also indexed by Google Scholar. We have the same plan as we had last year. The only difference is that last year we published the post proceedings of Icteri 2012 without a prior approval from Springer. We negotiated these proceedings after the conference has ended. This year, they were glad to accept our post proceedings volume well before the conference. So what now? For all the presentations you guys will give here at the conference, the members of the steering committee and the session chairs will track your presentations, will look into the papers, will perhaps ask additional questions, and based on that will form their judgments about inviting the best papers to be revised, extended, and published as the chapters in our post proceedings. This is a way for you to read the conference program on the website. I know that you all bought the printed copies, but on the website it's colored. So there is a color legend here. For example, you see each day we have during the conference, like tomorrow, start with a plenary session where we normally have an invited talk and a tutorial, and then we have 3 parallel streams. For today, those streams are reserved for main Icteri conference papers. Starting from tomorrow, we involve workshop sessions in those parallel streams. And to give you an idea of the timing, there will be a lunch break from 1300 to 1400 for you to get some energy somewhere around the university. We have already greeted our invited speakers. I just add the titles of their talks. Dr. Pratt will talk about the movement of higher education institutions to consortiums, which, as he gently mentioned, band together to get some competitive advantages. That will be interested to learn how those US bandits get their competitive advantages in the US nowadays, and to compare to the things happened in the US formerly in the previous century, for instance. A keynote will be given by our good colleague and friend Eckhard Maske, who is doing a real cool stuff in synthetic biology, in engineering design applied to synthetic biology. He will tell you something about knowledge-based bioeconomy and the green triple helix of biotechnology, synthetic biology, and ICT. And finally, so far, you see we have an invited talk from an academic management, we have an invited talk which is much more closely related to industry, and finally, we have a research academic talk. So those invited talks fully cover the triple helix of the scope of our conference in education, research, and industry. There are some rules of the game, as many of you well know. The time slots will be mentioned in the program, but anyhow, the full paper presentation has a 30-minute slot, which means 25 plus 5. A short paper has a 20-minute slot, which means 15 plus 5. And the session chairs will be instructed to manage this time in German style, meaning that they will be given those 2 cards. The first yellow one is for warning, and the second one is for unconditional stopping or extinction of the talk. Please do not let them do that. They will not be happy to show you a red card. This is why I do strongly suggest to the speakers to follow the rules of this encounter. One more thing to mention, as Alexander said already, the language of the conference is exclusively English, and this is not because we like talking English. This is just because we have a broad international presence, and unfortunately some people here do not really understand Slavic characters or Slavic words. This is why please adhere to the rule, and for presenters I would suggest to speak English. Please do not hesitate if your English is not entirely Oxford style, just make it properly understood. And to help you and the audience in that, please make the slides in English. Yeah, this is
Please continue.
This is all what I wanted to say, and as far as I do see, I managed to do it on time. I just want to mention once more the sponsors. It helped us a lot in supporting us organizationally and financially. And I'd like to use this opportunity to wish you once more a very successful and joyful Icteri 2013. My pleasure.
Thank you very much. A very good review about our conference. And now I invite our speakers, Dr. Gary Pratt.
Thank you very much for allowing me to come and speak to you today. I'm very happy and honored to be a participant in this conference this year, and thank you, Alexander, for the invitation. I want to introduce myself. My name is Gary Pratt, and I am the Vice President for Information Technology and the Chief Information Officer at Eastern Washington University. My primary responsibilities at the university are to manage the information technology support organization, but I'm also responsible for all of the institutional planning on campus. I have worked with multiple institutions, colleges and universities, and both regionally and statewide have worked with other institutions within the states that I've worked at. I found that most people come to meet with you in a very collegial environment. They work very closely together, talk to each other, and are friendly, but they're not very willing to trust each other and work hand in hand towards common initiatives. I realized that early on, collaboration would not just happen, but I would have to actually take control, take the bull by the horns to get these institutions to work together. I have a slide at the end of the presentation that will show the location for my presentation and notes. You're welcome to come to that and you'll have access to all the materials that I'll be sharing today. I want to talk to you about a number of stories about moving higher education institutions in the United States and their IT organizations that support them towards a world of collaboration. There are many disruptive forces in today's environment that are compelling higher education, especially in the United States, to adapt and change. The impacts include growing enrollments, more students coming to the institutions, increasing student expectations, students wanting more and more access to more technology and have their learning experience technology enhanced. Rising student debt, students are paying for more and more of their time at the institutions. And we were just speaking this morning at Eastern Washington University. In the last 5 years, we've moved from about 70% of our funding coming from our state government to about 60% to 70% of our funding coming from the students now. So the students are paying more and more. We have changing student demographics. Students are coming in more non-traditional, gender-based, coming in, taking higher technology, science, technology, math, engineering. We're getting more female students. We're getting older students coming back to school, so the demographics are changing. We have declining financial resources. In the last 4 or 5 years within the United States, we've had a significant financial crisis, which has had a major issue on funding. We've had increased competition for students amongst the institutions because of the reduced financial resources. They're looking to try and capture the enrollment from other institutions. On top of that, you get breakneck speed of technology change, and the IT organization within the university is stuck having to manage that change. So how can universities involve, not just mitigate these challenges and these factors, but move their institutions forward successfully? We want to start moving them into a world of collaboration. Problem is, they're collegial, but very often are not collaborative. They're competitive. So I look at this line that it's kind of a fictitious line that I created. Above that line the institutions compete. They have their turf, they have their brand, they try and sell themselves as a specific type of institution. They have programs for niche markets. But below this line, we are all managing information technology in similar ways. We have a lot of commonality in what we do. We run similar infrastructures with networks, telecommunication systems, data centers with servers. We purchase, implement, and maintain similar applications, technology, research technologies, computer technologies. We provide similar services for support to our constituents, the students, staff, and the faculty. So it gives us a lot of opportunity for collaboration. So on top of the challenges that the institutions have, we also have challenges that are facing the success of the IT organization, information technology organization on campus. Many institutions, and all of the institutions that I've worked at, do not have current or relevant institutional strategic plans that really define where the institution is going to go in the next 5 to 10 years. Without a true understanding of the institution's mission, their vision, their goals and priorities, the IT organization is stuck trying to guess where the right direction is to go, how you build the infrastructure, how you support the technology. Without an institutional strategic plan, it is a challenge to create a successful IT strategic plan. Another concern at many colleges and universities is that IT is not considered a strategic asset. There is no vision as to how IT can help the institution achieve its mission. It's only seen as a utility. In this environment, IT just becomes another cost of doing business. Lastly, due to the declining financial resources institutions within the U.S. are facing, it rolls downhill. If the institution's budget is being reduced, so is the IT organization. So we're left having to do more with less. Technology is changing faster, but the resources to support the technology are reducing. First, let me address institutional strategic planning. I've actually lucky to lead our institution, Eastern Washington University's strategic planning process. And this really came because in my early times there, I developed an information technology plan that was based off of my best guess as to where the institution was going. Over a course of 3 years, we were able to achieve amazing things in reducing our financial impact. Our budgets were being cut, but we were able to offer more services. Because of my success for that, the president of the institution asked for me to lead the institution's strategic planning process. And so it was very important for me to ensure that IT aligns with the institution, so I had to learn very closely from the institutional strategic process. The problem is, in an academic environment, I've heard it referred to as a series of cottage industries brought together by a common need for parking. That means that very little of what they do is aligned with what other parts of the institution are doing. So it's very difficult to have an institutional strategic plan that can take all of these individual disparate organizations and bring them together. So we need to have an institution, we need to be able to respond to, IT needs to be able to respond to all of these different businesses. We support the traditional business areas of business and finance, of student support and services, how we get students registered. We also have to support unique businesses like athletics, sports facilities. We have to support marketing communication. We have to support the information technology organization itself. We also have to support each unique quality of academic disciplines across the campus. We have to support them in the teaching and learning environment, in service, in scholarly works and publications, and we also have to support them in research. So as I said, institutional strategic planning is a key importance for all divisions and departments within the university. Through this process, key strategic thinking is important in changing or affirming the institution's mission, their vision, their values, their key performance indicators, what you measure to say that they are succeeding at what they say they want to do. To do this, you have to have 360 degrees of assessment. You have to have assessment from your governing bodies, from your executive team, from your staff, from your faculty. You have to have input from students. You need to be able to have input from the communities that you serve, from business leaders, from government leaders. All of this provides you the data that you have to consider when developing the strategic plan. Then you need to perform what I refer to as a SWOT analysis. The SWOT is an acronym that stands for determining the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats to the institution. You take all of that, you analyze, and then you develop goals, actions, and strategies on how to respond to these things and move the institution forward. This helps you to articulate and espouse the vision for the institution in the future. And it opens the doors to operational and tactical planning. This flow chart, and I apologize for the small writing, but it will be on a presentation available to you electronically so you can read the small writing, but basically shows how institutional strategic plan can help blend through the entire university. You have, across the horizontal scope, you have the alignment that happens with year-to-year instructional tactical action plans, institutional tactical and action plans. That's where you do your budget planning, you do your building construction, your capital planning, accreditation and program review, how we certify our academic realm, and continuous process improvement. Along the vertical line, we're talking about working with the organization's hierarchy, college, division level planning, department level planning. Again, Eastern Washington University's success within IT is because we were able to integrate with every aspect of the planning that is up on this chart. IT weaves through every aspect of the institution. How do you ensure that IT is strategic? That was the second major challenge that I mentioned to you. Well, we have an issue where IT, in all the institutions, when I first went to these colleges and universities, IT was basically considered a utility, kind of like lights, the heating, the cooling. If you walk into a room and you flip the switch, you expect the lights to turn on. You walk into the restroom, you turn the knob, you expect the water to flow. You turn your computer on, you expect the applications to run and to have access to the internet. That's not a complete fallacy. A large portion of the IT organization is a utility. I'd say 2/3, 3/4 of the organization is a utility. But it is part of the organization that's kind of invisible. People just expect it to work. But it's not strategic. That's not the strategic part of what we do. And it's a difficult message to get across that there is another important component of IT, something that makes IT a strategic asset. And that it comes with the ever-changing world of technology. New systems allow for new efficiencies, effectiveness, streamlining of processes, innovation, new technologies driving change in all aspects of the operation, business, finance, student affairs, and in the academic disciplines. These innovations are where institutions start to differentiate themselves. Research is a major component in most institutions, and it helps in the creation of new knowledge. Information technology plays a significant role in research and high-capacity computing, providing enormous bandwidth, development of experimental systems. This is the visible part of IT, the part where IT becomes strategic. We also need to take advantage of this innovation of the strategic asset and start to brand the IT organization so it's more than just a utility within the institution. We need to provide a trademark on that IT organization. The need to have all constituents, students, staff, and faculty recognize the organization for service, support, and quality applications and systems that it provides. We need to make the IT organization relevant to the institution, necessary to the mission and vision of the institution. It must be a standout. All that IT does must deliver above and beyond the expectation of the users. This effort moves IT from the hidden utility to a visible strategic asset within the institution. Collaboration, that brings us to the last part, but it's the most important part of what we're doing, and I'll give some examples that bring us to the title of this presentation. The main factors that can overcome challenges to IT success are collaboration. It's how you work with within your institution, with other parts of the organization within the institution, but you can also work with other universities and other partners, businesses and community groups, to be able to help make yourself strategic. It helps you to overcome dwindling fiscal resources, and it helps you to enhance your staffing and the skills that the staff have. Unfortunately, I've experienced in many of the states that I have worked in, I've experienced that institution competition, their pride, or sometimes just plain indifference gets in the way of collaboration. It tends to be the last thing they think about. They say, this is mine, I don't want to work with you on it. And we have to break those things down to be able to get true collaboration to happen. Collaboration is difficult. It takes effort. It requires risk. You need to sometimes put your individual needs on the shelf for a little while to be able to work towards a common good. It requires commitment from all partners, and it requires a leader who will take time to get in there and help make those changes. So I want to give you a few examples of successes that I've been a part of. We're going to use examples that have worked on a small scale within institutions, at a statewide level, both in the state of Kentucky and the state of Washington in the United States. The Northwestern United States has a couple examples that I'd like to point to, a national, international, and some new unique types of collaboration that are happening now. So we'll go ahead and start with a small tail example. As I've shared with some of you, when I first went to Eastern Washington University, information technology did not have a very good reputation on campus. In fact, it epitomized what it meant to be a siloed organization. We had 4 separate central IT organizations that worked completely independent from each other. They actually spent as much time undermining each other as they did trying to help anybody. We also, because of the lack of service and support that people had, they went out and hired their own IT staff. So we had 25 islands of IT throughout the university doing their own thing. My job was to come in and help these, bring them together, reorganize, and consolidate these organizations. One of our failures is helping faculty and staff understand how to effectively use the technology that they had available to them. I had to focus on multiple issues at the same time, bringing in quality systems, applications, and infrastructure, building a strong IT team, and more importantly, I had to build relationships. One of the key successes, and this is a picture of one of those examples, is working in partnership with faculty to help with training and development so they knew how to utilize the technologies in their curriculum. We provide one-on-one consultation services, small-scale training by discipline or department, but we also create formal programs. This is a picture from what we refer to as an intense faculty boot camp of technology. In the summer, faculty get together for multiple days and learn how to use various aspects of technology. Another exciting example of a collaboration on campus was the development of the Learning Commons. It brought together departments from across the campus that individually helped students succeed, but they were working completely in isolation of each other. The Learning Commons allowed us to bring them together into a single unit so that we were able to better support students. We brought student tutoring, one-on-one tutoring, assistance with composition. We refer to this as our Writer Center, so students who need help with developing concepts, writing, publication, and graphics. And we also brought together a multimedia lab that was run by Information Technology, and we situated this new program in the library. In a very short time, we only opened this less than an academic year ago, we have quadrupled the number of students that have participated in these services. Collaboration among these departments have allowed us to make significant progress. We've been able to work one-on-one together. The intent was to increase student success factors like retention, graduation rates, and the grade point average. And we've been very successful so far. It's been so successful that we now want to grow it even more than what we have. Prior to my time at Eastern Washington University, I worked at Northern Kentucky University in Kentucky. The Commonwealth of Kentucky had a desire to develop a strong statewide mandate to deliver online technology, technology-enhanced education. At the time, Sally Johnstone, who is the director of the Western Cooperative for Educational Telecommunications, and she's a good friend of mine. She spoke at a statewide distance learning advisory committee meeting and talked about how the state needs to focus on the collaboration between colleges and universities. We need to successfully build a framework for technology. This quote resonated with the group because it talked about the new issue of collaboration. Should we even think about it? Yes. Should we do it? Yes. Can we do it? Absolutely. And we moved to, yes, we will do it. So we developed a plan on how to bring them together. The state of Kentucky also, through legislation, created the Kentucky Virtual University, a collaboration among public colleges and universities focused on developing and offering online coursework and programs. As a part of the same legislation, they created the Distance Learning Advisory Committee that I mentioned earlier. But they had significant issues. They tried to get working together by creating a single system, a learning management system for all colleges and universities to use. Problem is, it didn't work. They weren't technology people, they were people who were governing people, so they didn't know how to manage the technology. So it established a bad precedent, and colleges decided they're going to go their own way and do their own thing. So they created their own separate learning management systems. Because I had developed a reputation for collaboration within the state, they asked me to lead a conversation, bring all of the institutions together, and talk about where can we collaborate, how can we collaborate. We brought them together and to discuss what were the issues of the past and where we wanted to go in the future. And the problem was that we were hampered because every institution was doing it their own way. So we started talking about, what about a single learning management system? These people wanted to fight about it. They did not want to collaborate. I do it myself. This is the only way we're going to do it. We're not going to go to a centralized approach. And it was like managing a game war. You had people with different systems that were fighting against each other, not wanting to work together. But I found it interesting, over a long period of time, we had the meeting scheduled for 2 hours. 3.5 hours later, they were still talking. And they started saying, you know what, well, there are things we can work together on. And we started identifying what some of these things were. The conversation, I brought the conversation to a close at that point in time, trying to decide, where do we go from here? They want to work together, but they have bad experience and they don't trust working together. So we called another meeting. After we decided to come together a few weeks later, we brought the group back together, and I reviewed what we had talked about in the earlier meeting. Everybody agreed. We don't agree on having a single system, but we agree we want to work together. Somebody had talked to me before the meeting and asked the question, what if it was funded? What if you had brought together everybody and we were able to find resources to help support you get these technologies? That made a difference in the conversation. People were spending lots of money running their own systems. So we started working on this together. Over a period of 9 months, we were able to bring together all of the public institutions in the state of Kentucky, all of the private colleges in the state of Kentucky, all of the K-12, which is primary and secondary schools in the state of Kentucky. We worked hand in hand on developing a single learning management system. That gave us consistency, it gave us standards, it saved us over 65% of the cost of the system, and we were able to have students when they were starting in their very first grade at 6 years old, all the way through when they got graduated from the universities, have the same experience online using the same systems. So this collaboration allowed us to be able to provide shared training, be able to develop, have shared content repositories, multi-institutional programs, so we are able to offer degrees where 2 institutions work together, the expertise of both institutions in offering degrees. All of these ideas were seeded early on in the effort as we discussed it, but being able to collaborate and come together on the system, we were able to make these things happen. Another example in the state of Kentucky was the development of a statewide technology conference. We were able to bring together institutions from all over the state and to bring together folks from different groups in those institutions. Initially, it started as a small IT get-together, so we had 50, maybe 75 IT staff come together throughout the state. Well, when I was handed the opportunity to host this initiative, the date that everybody had chosen happened to overlap with the date of a distance learning get-together that they were having. And so they were concerned about people not being able to make both of these initiatives. So I decided to bring them together. I asked the person who's coordinating the other effort if they wanted to bring them together and make a single conference where we could bring IT staff, distance learning staff, and faculty together to talk about many different things, similar to what we're doing here at this conference. We were asked to bring, later on, asked to bring the libraries in. It ended up that we brought what used to be a 50, 60-person IT staff get-together became a 300-person conference and was so exciting. We were able to bring vendors in that would help in funding much of the activities. We had workshops set up very similar to the program that you see for this conference here. It was so exciting that they decided they wanted to do it the next year as well, so they asked me to lead the following year. We started with 300. By the time I left Kentucky 3 years later, we had over 400 people participating in this conference. It has gone through a variety of name changes. It started as breaking down barriers because we wanted to break down the things that were challenging IT staff working with faculty, working with distance learning, working with library. We were able to break down all those boundaries. We were able to grow it to a large conference, so we started to call it the Convergence Conference, bringing everybody together. The conference is now in its 8th year. It's still being offered every year, and they've changed it to name of it to the Kentucky Innovations Conference. We were able to seed a variety of statewide initiatives. The Kentucky Educational Network, a data network that touches every public primary and secondary school and every public college and university. We're able to bring an internet to research network to every institution in the state. We were able to provide many, many different collaborations that came from this conference, and it's still going strong. An example of Eastern working with another partner, the Associated Press. The Associated Press is an outlet for media coverage of a variety of events nationwide in the United States. They came to Eastern Washington University and asked us to help them in being able to create an election center, a place where we would be able to consolidate all of the content, all of the votes for various elections, and be able to share it with the media outlets so people would know who was winning in an election. We did this last fall for the presidential election when President Obama was elected. As we went through it, Eastern was the hub for 30 states. We took the information, the votes from 30 different states, and consolidated them in our center using Eastern Washington University technology, student workers, and we were able to provide election coverage throughout the election so people would know which candidate was doing better, which legislation was doing better in electronic votes. So we were able to work with the Associated Press to collaboratively accomplish a very amazing, as you can see, we have a lot of students pulling in. Each island there is pulling in from a different state, the election results from different states. Another example of collaboration in the state of Washington is the Technology Transformation Task Force. A few years ago, the Washington State House of Representatives, which is a government group, created legislation that created this group, the Technology Transformation Task Force. I was asked to co-chair this task force at the state level with a president from a local community college. Together we put forward a committee of 20 community college and university faculty, IT staff, academic and student affairs administrators. We pulled together subcommittees with over 60 additional participants. This task force, the purpose of this task force was to really help us in identifying a plan for how institutions of higher education were going to overcome the horrible economic and financial crisis that the United States was facing over the last few years. Its purpose was to study a number of factors in the state of Washington's public higher education, colleges and universities. We put together subcommittees that looked at enterprise applications, that looked at enrollment services, library services, IT infrastructure systems, teaching and learning. We developed large equipment surveys, so we sent it to every university so we knew what kind of equipment, what kind of technology they had on campus. We compiled the data and we used the following methodology to be able to analyze. As you can see on this chart, on the left-hand side you have risk, cost, and complexity. And on the bottom axis you have the benefits, the impacts of the technology. And within each quadrant you'll see there's a date range in there. So we were able to say how long is it going to take for us to be able to implement this technology. You know, in 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, so on and so forth. The more complex the technology, the harder it is to implement it. So we were able to, as you'll see the letters that are up on the different quadrants, these were the different initiatives that came through our analysis, and we graded them basically by putting, help us to prioritize them. The further up and the further to the right, the less cost, the less complex, but it had very high impact. So they were what we refer to as low-hanging fruit. Easy to get initiated and started because there wasn't a whole lot of cost and we were able to work together to implement them. The further down to the left and lower, the higher the cost and the less the benefits. So we didn't want projects that fell within those quadrants. So the Technology Task Force developed a report, our game changer recommendations. These were the large initiatives that we felt that we were able to implement. Included creating a collaborative governance framework, an online academic planning system, state management of online education, a repository for business intelligence that's high-end strategic reporting and analytics, the ability to do federated identity management, work together on a common structure for security, and to be able to come up with a disaster recovery plan for all the institutions. On the quick wins, those were the ones that had less cost to them but had a very high impact. We talked about developing a professional development portal, professional development meaning training and use of electronic systems, implement student relation management system, developing and participating in the Library Alliance, and the leverage buying power of all these institutions coming together. We had a consultant that helped us, and they gave us this quote, which was very true. It says, truly transformative initiatives will require enhanced information technology governance structures and focused collaboration among the institutions. The only way we'll be successful is by working together. So we developed a governance organization that worked across the state, bringing together the head IT people from all of the colleges and universities. We called it the Washington Higher Education Technology Consortium. Its mission, the goals you'll see here were to develop practices and relationships that effectively utilize statewide and institutional agency resources, lead collaboration and coordination of technology use across the state, identify and develop and deliver high-quality technology solutions for Washington's learners. Guiding principles, we needed to work together. We need to respect the differences in each of the institutions. Wanting quality to be the framework that we focused on. Customer service and support, solid infrastructure, how do we utilize public resources in an efficient, effective way, develop streamlined, accessible technology, enhanced education, and ensure communication is seamless amongst everybody. We've had a variety of successes. This group has been together now for just under 3 years, and we've been able to work with the state chief information officer, the head IT person for the state of Washington, in developing a new structure for how we would manage large institutional technology projects. We worked together on collaborative purchasing for a number of technologies. Lecture capture system, we were able to secure a discount of 75% on the product for all the institutions. The learning management system, we were able to get a 60% increase and a much better learning management system capability for students to do online education. And lastly, we came together to move to cloud-based technology and putting Microsoft new product, Office 365, in all the institutions to do email and run the other Office products. We got a lot of benefit from this because we were able to work closely with Microsoft, with all the institutions working together. It gave us the leverage to be able to get them to ensure the security of our data and to be able to ensure that where the data went was where we wanted it to be. We didn't want it to go outside of the United States. We wanted it to be in a secure center, but we were also able to get all of this for free from Microsoft. We didn't have to pay a penny for access for any of the institutions within the state. It set the tone for Microsoft offering across the nation. We have some regional examples with the Northwest Academic Computing Consortium. And this group fosters communication collaboration amongst institutions on the development and use of advanced technology for instruction, research, administrative operations. This is a consortium of universities that are invited to be a participant. You can't just join, you have to be asked to join. The group works together across the states of Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, Alaska, and Hawaii. And they focus on specific initiatives. They help us in interpreting law and policies. So as new government laws come out, it helps us to understand how they apply to each of the institutions. They help us in being able to work and move further in the area of security. They have workshops for security professionals and provide membership in a variety of security groups. They provide support for teaching and learning, workshops for distance learning staff, and a new initiative that they're just starting to work on that I have been lucky enough to be a participant in is developing a new aspiring IT leader development. For those who want to become the leaders of IT organizations across or in institutions of higher education, we are building a training to help them and understand and be able to build their skills so they can grow into those roles. I mentioned earlier the Library Consortium. We refer to it as Orbis Cascade Alliance. This group works together to provide services to students, faculty, share information, resources, and expertise, develop library staff, and help members allocate financial and human resources to serve the unique needs of each member. A major project that they are working on right now is replacing each institution in the Northwest has had their own circulation system, how they manage the books, so they know what books they have and how they check them out and where they're at. Well, they are now replacing that with a cloud-based technology, and all of the institutions that are a member of the Orbis Cascade Alliance are going to be able to start utilizing this cloud-based circulation system, and that's going to be able to help also in being able to get for students to have access to materials, not just at the institution like Eastern Washington University, but our students would also have access to all of the books and materials that are available in all the other member libraries. It has set us up for a lot of savings because we're not going to have to run the servers and the systems. It's a cloud-based technology, so it's reduced staff support and administration of the systems and significantly reduced costs in systems management. There are some new things happening on the collaboration front that you may have heard about. There are 3 different new initiatives over the last few years. Many of you may have heard of Open Educational Resources. These are basically where hundreds of colleges and universities coming together to develop online teaching materials. and then they're sharing them for free. So that if somebody is developing a course in mathematics or in science or in English or in history, they can actually go out to this repository, look for things that may help them in their classes, get access to them, change it, cut pieces out of one and another, and create a whole new teaching strategy altogether. It's basically an opportunity to reduce, reuse, remix educational material, and it's freely available to everybody. This has started and is really starting to become a very strong thing. Another example of something that has come from open educational resources is something referred to as MOOCs. I'm sure you've heard of them. They're starting to be a common thing out there. I believe there's a presentation in the conference on MOOCs. It's a massively open online class where teachers are developing classes that are free and available to anybody and everybody, and they're offering those classes to anywhere from hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. I've heard of classes that have actually had 250,000 students taking the class. It's freely available to them. I'm sorry, go back. The second thing I wanted to refer to is peer-to-peer university. It's a new concept that has basically taken learners who they want to learn something, they know what it is they want to learn. If they join up with peer-to-peer university, the people who run this system basically pair the learner with the faculty member or the expert who can provide the content to them. So it's basically customized training. They don't get a diploma out of it. What they do is they get a badge or a certification that shows that they've learned that topic by working in this. The third example I'm showing up here is referred to as Merlot. Merlot is another example of open educational resources. It's a formal group. The acronym stands for Multimedia Educational Resources for Learning, Online and Online Teaching. It's free, open, online learning materials and pedagogy available to everybody who is a member of Merlot. It's leading edge, user-centered, peer-reviewed, higher education, online learning materials. It's increased the quantity and the quality of the resources that are available for faculty. Committed to advancing collaborative framework for sharing of these materials. I'm not showing it up here, but there are also examples that I've heard of collaboration happening here. Kirsten State University working with DataArt and Logis 5 and providing student internships and programming. Eastern Washington University is myself and working with Alexander. We're talking about other potential collaborations between our institutions. So collaboration can happen beyond state lines, not just within the boundaries of the country. I want to show you a video here. It just shows the power of a student collaboration, bringing students together to accomplish a common goal. This video may not depict students in all countries, but it gives you a good picture of students in the United States. But what I really wanted to showcase is the power of collaboration. The students that we're trying to bring into our universities and successfully graduate from our universities are collaborating on a daily basis utilizing technologies. We need to have the universities and colleges be able to expand their capabilities by utilizing this same strength of collaboration. This quote came from the United States Department of Education 2010 National Educational Plan, and I think it says it all. It says, education is the key to America's economic growth and prosperity and to our ability to compete in the global economy. It is the path to good jobs and higher earning power for Americans. It is necessary for our democracy to work. It fosters cross-border, cross-cultural collaboration required to solve the most challenging problems of our times. So that speaks to how important working together hand in hand is. With that, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to the honor of being here to present to you. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Yes.
What do you say about software engineering institute in USA, which collaborated and developed a new industrial technology? What do you say about it?
Okay, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry. Say it one more time. I'm sorry, how do you repeat this? There was more.
What do you say about Software Engineering Institute of USA, which elaborated and prepared new industrial methods and technology for computer science?
Well, I believe it's very important that institutions work together in the
commercial practice.
Okay, I think that there is a difference between a higher education situation where you're teaching and training students and in the commercial view. In the commercial sense, they do not want to collaborate because they don't want to give away their intellectual property. And that's also true of many academic disciplines. That's that niche market I told you where institutions compete. They don't necessarily want to work hand in hand in developing it because they want to be able to keep the intellectual property within the institution. But I have heard of many institutions that are working collaboratively on these research, the software engineering projects like that, being able to make greater strides because they're able to bring in experts from multiple institutions together to move that forward. Other questions? Yes.
Education Microsoft 2025.
Yeah, I just started having a conversation about this over the last few weeks. I'm not fully up to date on the entire plan. Can you explain a little bit about what the Microsoft 2025 plan is from your perspective so I can react to that?
Microsoft in our country and Russia prepared the program Education 2025. They proposition a new methods and different elaborated task for education in different institutes, Russia, Belarus, and so on. And so our country. For example, they holding competition.
У меня просьба, давайте вы сформулируете вопрос все же на русском, а профессионально переведут на английском, поскольку, я так понимаю, идет такой misunderstanding.
Ну, вопрос простой. Есть программа образования 2025, разработана фирмой Microsoft, Биллом Гейтсом. Эта программа внедряется в России, у нас, в Беларуси и в других постсоветских странах. И эту программу Билл Гейтс даже...
Я прошу прощения, у нас дискуссия...
В образовании. Нет, это не дискуссия. Это
дискуссия, это уже не вопрос. Это, давайте, у нас будут воркшопы. На воркшопах мы можем это обсудить. Сори. Вопрос должен быть коротким, понятным для...
Нет. Что не скажут об этой программе? Educational program.
В чем вопрос? Вопрос сформулируйте, пожалуйста. В чем вопрос? Gary, what do you think about this program? 2025.
I don't have personal experience with the program, so I can't speak directly to it, but it sounds like it's providing a good amount.
Okay,
Я думаю, он просто не знает об этой программе.
one more question, I'm sorry. Please, Nikolai Kazov, or
First of all, many thanks for your really interesting report and a lot of new things that you have reported. But maybe I haven't got one problem which is really actual for our situation. We have sometimes such things. Our best students, beginning from the third study year, are very active in software project, and we are not able to keep the student in the university because they are, let's say, employed in company. They have really good salary, even in compared to our professor level. My point, my question is a problem really actual for you? It means the problem how to keep the best students in university.
The same problem.
If they go to the another industry, what is the real way to solve this problem? Your practice.
It's a very difficult problem, and we deal with this. We refer to it as brain drain. So we try to hire the best students within my IT organization and keep them on campus because they're learning. They know the most recent skills. They get the real world experience working within my organization. Unfortunately, I can't pay the competitive salary, similar to what you were saying. So, especially in the state of Washington, you got to realize that I have Microsoft, Google, all on the western side of the state, and they're paying students 2 to 3 times as much as what I am paying them. So, I'm not sure I have a good answer on how to respond to that because I have the same issues, especially being so closely located to the high technology companies like Microsoft. The best thing that I can say is that we provide a better atmosphere. It's not as cutthroat as working in the commercial world. We're not profit oriented. We're oriented on teaching and learning and research. So it gives students a great opportunity to work not just in information technology, but to work with different disciplines across the campus and be able to know how to integrate technology with history, with English, with art, music, with science and health and engineering programs. So we do have something that helps to attract and keep those students, but it isn't necessarily the salary because we're a public institution, so we don't pay as high salaries as some of the commercial vendors do. But it's a great question, and I'm not sure I have a good answer because we struggle with the same issue.
Thank you.
By the way, yesterday we talked with Gary about this problem. He explained me that in the last month he used the 5 young programmers.
Well, what's that?
Okay, please.
I have 2 questions. First of all, you gave an excellent overview of the difficulties of putting things together, especially putting people together. The simple question that I have is the first one. You mentioned the collaboration system a lot does it follow the open or does it follow the peer-to-peer?
It follows open. It's got its own architecture. It's open educational.
So it's part of
not peer-to-peer network. The peer-to-peer university closely aligns with the peer-to-peer approach, so it's they're putting one-to-one together. But it's basically they provide the resources. You can take that, change it in whatever way, and then repost that because it remixes it. It reuses it in a different way.
So it seems to me that Bernard is something you can use in both models. You can use in open educational resource model as well as in the peer-to-peer model.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The primary importance that brings them both together is it's free, it's available to anybody, and you can use it however you like it.
Right.
But it is, the best part of it, it is peer reviewed. So you know that it's actual quality content that's there.
Right.
So before it gets posted, it's reviewed by experts to ensure that it is correct.
Yeah. The second question is this. In the beginning of your lecture, you mentioned about trust. But later on, I thought you are going to elaborate on some kind of trust model that you probably needed and you probably used in putting people together in creating large systems, number one. And also in making sure that such systems are trustable by the clients who use it.
Yes.
So do you have any experience to share with us?
We don't have specific standards behind the trust model. Really, it's based off of spending time and building the relationships. As we start implementing systems, we work with lead institutions, and that institution really sets up the model or the framework for whatever that product or that application might be. So it isn't a single standard, it's by whatever the lead institution that's leading the development. For example, and moving towards the using the cloud-based Microsoft Office 365 technology, University of Washington was our lead institution, so they actually were the ones who helped do the negotiations with Microsoft. They were able to manage the development of the contract and the implementation schema, the training schema, and such for implementation of that product. But it was the lead institution that set the tone on how we did that. It isn't just through the organization a single model.
Well, as you might have heard, for example, WikiLeaks has many problems, the Wiki website.
Yes.
In fact, there was a report a few years ago that some school children which used the information from Wiki failed the test because it was not the correct information.
Right.
So if you go to the OER model where you have open educational resources, how do you make sure that the information related to the education can be trusted? That's my question.
That's a great question. And I can tell you that both OER and Merlot, they're both examples of similar products. They actually are peer reviewed, so they don't just automatically post it up like you have on any of the major wiki sites that are out there where people just go in and start making changes to it and you hope that it's correct. You actually, before it gets posted, it goes through a peer review process by experts in the field of whatever that discipline is that will verify and guarantee that the information is correct before it gets posted and available.
So you had some authentication agents.
Correct.
That's what I mean by the trust model.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, Michelle, coach.
Okay, I can try without microphone. First, I would like to comment something on the question from before about like students dropping out from their education, basically like the second, third year, also like getting to other jobs. So, so first, a bit of background. So,
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So first, a bit of background. So I myself affiliated with the University of Jyväskylä in Finland. So the educational system is a bit different there. And I've also been affiliated before with the University in Belgium. So they're a bit different. But we have similar problems. So that students drop out in the university, like it's even first or second year already. They know some programming and they go and work at the company. And also like in the IT departments, we also have this problem, like that the work is basically going to work somewhere else. So, but at least for the, well, let's say for the educational part, we have this kind of, let's say, solutions that, and this has a bit to do with the fact that the Finnish educational system is quite flexible. So it's like one is called fast track. It basically means that the student can finish, like, for example, master education, which normally takes 2 years, in less as 1 year, or can finish bachelor education, which takes 3 years, also like about 1 year. So it means basically that the student is working, let's say, maybe like 70 hours per week, something like this, to finish this education, but can do it in a very short time. So the result of it is that the student gets like very active, but can do things in shorter time. Then the second thing is that what we're trying to do as well is like to ask the students to actually come and present the stuff from their company inside our lectures. So we just tell them like, okay, what you're doing now is very interesting. Can you just come and show? Because we as teachers, we actually, it is related to what was presented, that we are not able even to follow the news developments which happen. I mean, our education cannot always show the news and stuff, but if they go and work...
Sorry, but I will show the red card.
Okay. Okay, then I will actually, so quickly go to the question which I still have. It's like, how do you avoid vendor locking? So you mentioned like Windows 365, you mentioned other things, but how do you avoid or manage vendor locking that you do not get, let's say, trapped?
Can you restate vendor
locking? So the basically that you have like one vendor which is selling your product, and then if the product is not available anymore at a later point, or
so you have to stay agnostic to the vendor, basically.
Yes.
That's a difficult thing. First, let me say there are many institutions in the United States that are developing, and they're referring to them as executive level programs, that they're very similar to what you're saying. They're very high intensity, lots of hours, and it gets them through in a shorter period of time. So there's a lot of that going on. I think that to be able to remain vendor agnostic is one of the most difficult things for faculty, especially in technology-related programs, engineering, where there's a lot of changes that are happening on a regular basis. For me, I think the best approach to being vendor agnostic is that you don't get somebody who is only from a single company to be a part of the presentation. I've been a part of panels where they bring in members of various vendors to sit down and speak with the students about what their product does, the approach that they take, and you find out there's a lot of commonality in how they do it. It takes them out of vendor-specific details and actually talks about what the development methods might be behind developing those products. We have also taken, and this is when I was at Northern Kentucky University, we developed relationships with local businesses where both faculty and students have opportunities to work in those companies, and they bring that real-world knowledge back to the classroom so that they're able to keep up with the new technology, the new changes, the new innovations that are happening out there. I'm not sure there's a best answer to how to remain completely vendor agnostic, but you really need to make sure you have representative from across the spectrum.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
One more question. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the fantastic, deeply and applicable report. And it gives the new vision, new opportunities for our students as well. Thank you very much.
So much.
Thank you.
I do have the contact information.
Dear colleagues, it's coming end of first plenary session. Now will be lunchtime, and we have to continue our job. This is 3 rooms, the 5th floor. First workshop, session 2, 5:11, and session 3, 5:02. We invite all participate in the